people tend to go towards things which are simpler to understand or they are simpler to grab.
That people lose interest when you go into something very esoteric.
Hello guys, welcome back to another podcast of the Jai Thakkar Show. Today we have what we can say the viral science video maker Mr. Tariq Merchant, who has more than 100,000 followers on Instagram, who runs a YouTube channel with more than 4,000 subscribers, and he also is co-founder of Android Labs and one of the most prominent person who is coming from rural area and ruling the science world and making us understand the and generating interest in science. Mr. Tariq Merchant, so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jed. Thank you for having me here.
So talking about science, many students say that yeah, science is a bada boring subject hai, and they just throw away the interesting part or the intriguing part of the science. And when they grow up, like when they start doing jobs and when they talk in their circle, they are like यार Elon Musk कर रहा है वो Neuralink वाला, Elon Musk के science का बहुत सही कर रहा है. So after a certain age, when we have sort of selected our mainstream careers, after that we start bending towards the intriguing part of science. But when we are studying science at that time, many people lose their interest in science. And because you are a science person who is teaching science through videos, so I want to know that how your interest for science remained throughout the education, and how have you been growing yourself through science?
See, Jay, initially when I was introduced to science, right from my childhood, I always found it very interesting. Like it is something which teaches how stuff is happening around you. So it teaches you natural laws, how nature is behaving. And I always found it very interesting. Now, growing up, what happened is the things got very esoteric. The jargon started coming in. And then at some point of time, I started feeling like every other guy feels. This is becoming difficult and complex. I do not understand everything. So there was a gap which I wanted to bridge. Like science, I wanted to understand, but then it was getting difficult. Like I was even reading quantum physics when I was in 11, and I wasn't understanding it. Like, kya ho raha hai? I do not understand anything about it.
True.
Also, I was never the topper of the class, but I was always the curious guy. So anything which was happening around me, I was always curious to know ye kaise hua? And what I have learned, can I apply it somewhere? Now, obviously, when I was growing up, it was not the internet age. So information was not readily available to Google search away. I could not Google things. So it was like I had to form theories in my mind. Yeah, aise ho raha hoga, nahi ho raha hoga. Then at some point you feel ki aise hi ho raha hoga. And that is how I kept going. And that is how I related what I was learning with what I was seeing in real world. That kept me growing.
True, sir. Being personally a science student, I can completely relate with it, especially the part you said for quantum physics, because even I chose physics stream because I was truly intrigued by the concept of quantum physics, like how subatomic particles work and what energy plays, and those are fascinating things. But now when I'm in college in first year, I'm like, okay, there's no queue of quantum physics. I again have to go through the same 11th, 12th courses where I have to go through mechanical physics and electromagnetism and same concepts. But then what intrigued you, like we can understand that okay, you've gone through the whole academics part of it because your interest to know the crux of how things work has made you gone through the whole process. But then what was the reason behind that you started even educating people through your videos?
See, it is mainly because I always had this connect. I come from a rural background. What I felt I lacked was that I did not have sufficient information available. Now that this is an internet age, anybody can reach out anywhere. What I feel is probably what I know I can give out to students. Like anybody who is watching my video, he can be from a commerce background, he can be a 13-year-old, he can be a 65-year-old. As long as he is curious, I am giving out some information which he would like to know. Probably if he has some connect with it, if he wants to delve deeper into it, there are other sources he can know more about it. But I want to inspire interest. कि you watch my video, you'll gain some interest. कि अरे हाँ ये theory मैंने सुनी हुई थी, I did not learn much about it, or probably this is the first time I am hearing it, but अच्छा है. Probably I want to learn more. So I want to inspire interest. That's how I started making videos. That's why I started making videos कि लोगों को inspire करें interest science के तरफ.
Okay, so sir, now the question arises that you gone through the whole education system where you also face things which decreases your interest towards the subject which you are pursuing. And then when you are creating content, you're creating content in such a way that even if a person who is genuinely not interested in the stuff starts thinking about it. So how you bridge this gap, and how you want to what can I say? What solution would you provide to clear clear this gap in even the education system? Like, is it the fault of the whole syllabus which is being taught, or is it the fault of the educational teachers who are teaching to students, or what is the fault, and how can we bridge this gap of the students losing interest in science?
What I feel is I won't blame the teacher only, but it's like this syllabus, how it is designed, it is excellently done. Obviously, it covers all the concepts that you should be knowing at that particular age. Now, how things should be shown, how it should be represented, is what I feel institutions should have a practical model of everything. Like if you are learning something in maybe say pressures, you have multiple practical demonstrations which you can show. Okay, this is how pressure is working. Even a simple balloon, I know Arvind sir. There's a famous YouTube creator who makes excellent demonstrations from trash. So he's like, you use two balloons, one is small, other is big. किस तरफ जाएगी? You show practical demonstrations. और वहां जब लोगों को इंटरेस्ट आएगा, then you go into theory. So what I feel is the practical part itself is missing. हम लोग इतने साल हो गए, यानी आज एजुकेशन जो है, हम लोग 1960 में अगर हम देखें तो ब्लैक बोर्ड पे चलता था. आज हम 2021 में आ गए, अभी भी वही है, मतलब व्हाइट बोर्ड होगा और डिजिटल होगा, बट ओवरऑल टीचिंग मेथोडोलॉजी में कोई चेंज नहीं है, वही हो रहा है. यानी ब्लैक बोर्ड पे टीचर write something and people take down notes. I think that has to be redefined, that has to be revamped. कि कोई प्रैक्टिकल चीजें दिखाए. अब तो इंफॉर्मेशन एज है, शो देम वीडियोस, फर्स्ट इंस्पायर इंटरेस्ट कि देखो अब हम ये सीखने वाले हैं, दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, एंड देन प्रोबेबली गो डीपर. दैट्स व्हाट आई फील अप्रोच शुड बी.
Also sir, I feel that like there is also problem of the way exams are taken with this, because हर पेरेंट्स सोचता है कि मुझे अपने बच्चे के अच्छे मार्क्स चाहिए. So they even pressurize the educational institutions to teach or train students to just get good marks rather than allowing students to understand the concept. Like if a teacher says that I need extra few hours for your student to make them understand the concept through practicals, parents बोलेंगे नहीं, तुम स्कूल के आवर्स में उनको ऐसे पढ़ाओ कि बच्चे के मार्क्स आए. And I think that also creates a what would I say? That also creates a confusion or pressurized chamber for an educational institute to do business with helping or going with interest of parents by training students to gain marks, or to go with the demand of students to make them understand the concept. So like, how can we bridge that gap, that we allow students to understand and also allow students to gain good marks? From my side, the answer is that we change the examination system in such a way that rather than students just vomiting the statement written in the textbook, we can allow students to think. Like for example, when we say that we give a physics problem that एक इलेक्ट्रॉन इधर है, एक इलेक्ट्रॉन इधर है, दोनों के बीच का फोर्स कितना है. That is what we teach student, and that is what we ask student to write in the exam. Other than that, what I think is like, one electron is here, another electron is here. Tell me how many forces are working. Now, even allow students to think that even gravitational force might work, it might not work. What can be the difference between them, which is rarely taught in schools and in education institutions. From my own personal experience, you may share your answers as well.
Absolutely. See, there are two things that need to change. As you rightly mentioned, the examination pattern has to change. It has to revolve around the conceptual understanding, not the rote learning where people just mug up thing and write it down. So it has to have more practical approach. Ask them, maybe even give them projects. Ki Now that you learn electrostatic principle, make a small project, however small, make something. We'll judge you based on it. Probably something along that line. That's one part where the examination pattern can change. The other thing that has to change is the parents' mindset. Like parents are very much focused on marks. Sometimes that's all right. I mean, obviously they want their child to have an excellent career, and the career obviously comes from good marks. But what they have to learn is pressurizing child is like putting excess pressure on him breaks him. I get so many messages on Instagram itself कि sir मेरा 11th है, मेरा 12th है, मेरा कुछ हुआ नहीं है, एग्जामिनेशन है, मुझे डिप्रेशन आ गया. अरे 11th का बच्चा है. I mean, that destroys the psyche of the student. Having excessive pressure, I mean, the parents should understand, they have to change their mindset that whatever his child is trying to do is sufficient. He is giving his best is what is important. You have to give him direction, give your best. That's what is important. After he gives his best, even if he scores 75%, be happy with it. He gave his best. He tried to understand things. Be happy. Don't focus on marks. I understand it is very much needed for the career, but with 75%, whatever career he'll get, he'll be happy with it. You shouldn't be worrying about कि उसको 99% आएंगे and then he'll only get into an IIT and then IIM. Don't put excessive pressure. That's my personal opinion.
100%. And also, so with this, I got one point as well. Like parents बच्चे को बोलते हैं कि तुम्हारे marks कितना है. Rather than that, right. Parents in between, if they just take the textbook of child and open any page and then ask the child that कि बेटा तुम ये समझो कि यहाँ पे लिखा क्या है. Try to make me understand what is written in this. So I think this also helps child in creating curiosity or at least making them understand what is written in textbook, because teacher will only ask what will be asked in exam. Parents will ask to understand what exactly is written in this in terms of conceptual, and will help even the connection between parents and students. Sometimes I personally feel that students sometimes shifts away from their parents कि like pressure है तो मैं ज़्यादा बात नहीं करूँगा, बस books, and then they get into that phase of depression if unfortunately they get low marks. So I think if even that connection is created through parent side, that कि they ask student कि आज तुमने समझा क्या, rather than just asking them कि आज marks कितना आया, क्या test था. Even that helps students in increasing their interest towards the subject. That what I feel.
That's an excellent approach that you suggest. Probably at the end of the day, what a parent can do is ask your child, आज क्या समझा है? Explain whatever you have learned. अब वो अगर कुछ गलत बता रहे, correct him कि नहीं, this is not how it is, this is how it is. That will probably help him understand more. उसको खुद को भी interest आएगा, मुझे आज मम्मी को ये समझाना है, पापा को ये समझाना है. तो वो खुद भी समझने की भी कोशिश करेगा, and he will focus on understanding things instead of just mugging it up. That's an excellent approach.
Thank you, sir. And going ahead with this, do you think that like because of lockdown, because of this pandemic, the digital educational era has grown a lot? Like students are learning through online education platforms, and there are also such bunch of students who are like we genuinely miss the kind of learning which we are getting through the physical education, and there are also bunch of students or let's say business tycoons who say that the education platform, if it goes online, it is going to boom more. So as a science geek, like how do you see this whole education going in future in terms of online and in terms of face-to-face mode?
What I feel is the transformation is bound to happen. See, right now, what I said is we haven't changed much. Even in past 50 years, we are still using the same blackboard and pens and chalks. So you going to a classroom and you attending it online makes no difference because there's nothing physical to see apart from the teacher. We are already seeing him on the video. If you had practical kits, like if student went near a practical kit, performed some experiment, he would be missing it. And now I can't do the experiment myself. Right now, there's no difference. You study it online or you go to a class. The only difference that is missing is the child is not able to connect with his classmates. And that is what the child is missing. He does not have no physical interaction and human being is social anymore. That social connection is what child is missing. Otherwise, from educational perspective, what I feel is the transformation has started, and the educational, I mean the internet-based education, digital education is surely going to. This is what it will be like from next couple of years, 3 years, education this way, because now I can connect with someone who's a very excellent teacher, someone residing in Delhi. Now I can take his class. So this is the future. That's what I see.
True, sir. I agree with you at some point, but what from personally I have feel is because like if I have some social connect with my friends, I tend to attend the lecture more rather than in
Mhm.
online class. I just have to have my attendance and I can do some random stuff whatever I want.
Right.
So I think even that when I'm in face to face mode, even the body language of teacher helps me to connect to the subject. Like if अगर टीचर एकदम एक्साइटमेंट के साथ आए हैं, इवन दो दे आर गोना
Mhm.
टीच द सेम इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिज्म का कंसेप्ट जो वो हर साल पढ़ाते आए, बट इफ द टीचर कम्स विद अ लिटिल मोर एक्साइटमेंट, देन एटलीस्ट स्टार्टिंग के 5-10 मिनट मेरा अटेंशन एक्स्ट्रा जाएगा क्लास में, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ माई फ्रेंड्स मैं बोलूंगा कि यार टीचर बहुत अच्छे मूड में, टीचर बहुत अच्छे मूड में. So even that helps me get an atmosphere which helps me, like it increases my attention span towards the concept rather than in online I just have to see the same video or see the same thing, repetitive monotonous atmosphere again and again.
Absolutely. That's true. That's true. Like having a physical teacher. Now, if the teacher has that body language, he radiates excitement, तो अलग बात है कि you connect with them. Otherwise, the precondition that you said, कि teacher has an excellent body language, that's missing in most of the places. So a teacher who comes in is in always a dull mood, keeps blabbering and then goes away. It's the same thing either you go online or offline. In online, you have an advantage. Now you can attend any other class. Like you can attend someone who's an excellent teacher. So you are not limited by इन्हीं class करना. That's where I see the education can go. If you have to attend the same teacher, whether he is online, offline, and if he does not have a good body language, you can no difference. Like online or offline, makes no difference.
True, sir. And what I personally feel is that the combination of online and offline is should will be the best for students as the concepts which are taught. Like because of 3D animations and everything, we can get that concept in a video and then we can put it online for students so that they can learn that concept anytime they want. Like अगर मुझे आज पढ़ते हुए शाम को doubt आया, I don't have to wait to go school or college tomorrow to ask teacher or to again re go through that concept
Right.
with my friends or whenever I connect them physically. I have the video, I can watch it and I can learn it. And also the physical classes as well is gonna help is because of friends. एक attention span मेरा ज़्यादा बढ़ेगा to understand the concept. Second, I will have an immediate approach to the practical understanding of it. Like कभी कभार
Absolutely.
टीचर ऑनलाइन बैठ के इतना नहीं पढ़ा सकते because they just have to sit and speak. Like when teacher is standing and doing some stuff, they also have some resources from the institute which they can at least use it to show some practical experimentation. Like अगर buoyancy का concept है तो they can use a pencil cap and water bottle to explain it to students rather than कई बार students का ही attention नहीं होता online classes में, or even they just don't see that experiment what teacher does. That's what I personally feel in terms of how education can grow further.
Yeah, I mean, the first part that you mentioned, obviously, the 3D models and the digital thing that you can show that will help people learn, that is one thing that should come in, but I haven't seen it being implemented anywhere. Like there are classes, Byju's, etc. I do not personally know how they go about it. But for normal classes, I don't see it coming in. Like people still go the same way. There's a teacher who's on the in front of the camera and he keeps talking. Now there's another thing that has happened is teachers are camera shy. Like I too am. Right now you might be able to see. I get nervous when the camera starts. So that's one thing where teachers lose their comfort level. कि ये क्या हो रहा है मतलब ऑनलाइन में आई एम नॉट कंफर्टेबल. दैट्स अनदर थिंग वेयर द एजुकेशन पार्ट डिटोरियोरेट्स कि यार ऑनलाइन सिखाना पड़ रहा है, आई एम नॉट कंफर्टेबल. दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग. बट वंस पीपल गेट अकस्टम्ड, आई थिंक teachers will also get used to it.
100%. So now moving on to how you curated it. Like what was your planning in terms of giving content to students? Like how you plan your content. Like when you plan and when you sit and plan for one video, how do you think that ki आज ये concept I think that this concept will help students intrigue their interest in science. So how do you select that whole content creation part of it?
It is not like how do I select? It's mostly, see, my content mostly revolves around things that are happening around me. So I seldom talk. I do talk, but then I seldom talk about astrophysics or maybe something that is far away from you. I talk about something that you see daily. Like right now, I am planning to make a video on ultraviolet catastrophe, right? So where I got that idea from was that I saw an incandescent bulb, and then I said, let's talk about it. Now, when you want to talk about it, the first thing that comes into your mind is black body radiation. Okay, then you can consider the bulb as a black body. Now, when you talk about black body radiation, there's another thing that you can go into is quantum physics, like how ultraviolet catastrophe happened, how it was resolved by Max Planck. Now, while planning the video, what I also keep into mind is that my audience is not particularly physics pro. So it is a very generic audience. Now, when I start talking about maybe when I say energy, h nu, Planck's constant, people lose interest. So I also keep in mind that it has to be very easy. So if I say कि object wavelength emit करेगा radiation की नहीं, I say object color emit करेगा. Color is something everybody does understand. Wavelength is not something everybody understands. Now, if he is someone who is related to physics, he can understand what I'm trying to say is wavelength. I stick to normal terms. I also think in terms कि ये वीडियो देखने के बाद what questions people can ask. और अगर वो कोई बहुत important question है, I try to incorporate it within my video itself. Like भले मेरा वीडियो अगर इंस्टाग्राम का है 1 मिनट का है, पर वो 1 मिनट के वीडियो में आई ट्राई टू इनकॉर्पोरेट as much information कि जो क्वेश्चन लोगों के माइंड में आएंगे तो शायद वो पूछ नहीं पाएंगे मुझे. So what I try to do is I try to put it in video itself कि उनको शायद पूछने की जरूरत भी ना पड़े, मैं ऑलरेडी बता दूं. So I try to do it. So I plan my content based on my generic audience कि सबको समझ में आए, किस तरह से आसान तरीके से मैं समझा सकता हूँ और क्या फ्यूचर क्वेश्चंस लोगों के माइंड में डेवलप हो सकते हैं. जैसे मैं एग्जांपल देता हूँ, अब हम ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन की बात कर रहे हैं, मेरे दिमाग में यही था कि अगर ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन की कर रहा हूँ, मैं ये बोलता हूँ कि रेडिएशन जो है वो टेम्परेचर पे डिपेंड करेगा. फिर मैंने सोचा कि लोग सोचेंगे कि कैंडल की फ्लेम का भी टेम्परेचर फिर तो निकाल सकते हैं यूजिंग ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन, पर फिर वो नहीं निकाल सकते क्योंकि इट इज बिकॉज ऑफ कंबशन, जो अलग प्रोसेस है. इट इज अ केमिकल रिएक्शन विच इज इमिटिंग एनर्जी. तो आप ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन डायरेक्टली अप्लाई करके वहां नहीं निकाल पाओगे उस कैंडल फ्लेम का टेम्परेचर, बिकॉज कैंडल फ्लेम इज 800 से 1500 तक का, और ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन 3000 केल्विन पे आपको व्हाइट लाइट मिलेगा. तो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस. ऑब्वियसली देयर आर सूट पार्टिकल्स की जो ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन. तो ये सारी चीजें मैं दिमाग में रखता हूँ कि शायद लोगों के माइंड में ये क्वेश्चन है, तो मैं अभी रिजॉल्व करूँ. मेरे वीडियो में ही बोल दूं कि ये आप यहाँ नहीं अप्लाई कर सकते, यहाँ नहीं, आप लाइट इमिटिंग डायोड को आप ब्लैक बॉडी रेडिएशन नहीं बोल सकते. मैं ट्राई करता हूँ जितने क्वेश्चन लोगों के माइंड में आएंगे वही रिजॉल्व करता हूँ, और उसी हिसाब से मैं मेरे कंटेंट प्लान.
200%. And even your content, which I have personally seen, even as a science student, I sometimes get intrigued कि यार ये भी है, ये तो मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं. Even though the concept is same, which I have been studied in 11th, 12th, and in my first year of college. So that also sometimes intrigues in some new concept. And talking about Android Lab, which you have co-founded, and so what was the whole idea behind it, and how have you grown it altogether till now?
See, back when I graduated in 2012, but I wanted to stick to electronics. So what I thought was, where we try to bridge the gap education. We made our own robotics kits. We took it to schools, colleges all across India. We used to show them the kit, and we made them build the robots itself. So while building it, people got to know what it is, how you build a robot, all the concepts by practical learning by doing, not just learning. So you do what you are being taught. And there were so many students, like I went to Hyderabad, Coimbatore, in rural parts of India. There were students who did not know what diode is, and there were ENTC final year students. When they first time saw diode and LEDs glowing, they were like, "Arey, ye aisa dikhta hai kya?" So that's the gap where I felt that we were bridging. Now, fortunately, what happened is, while doing these workshops, obviously we went to colleges, we had good connect with colleges, and in cultural festivals, we were asked to put out a game. कि कोई game लेके आइए आप. So there's a popular laser tag game that's very popular in United States. So it is gun-based game where you have a physical gun in your hand, laser-based, You shoot the opponent, and if you shoot him right, you get some score. And all the score is digitally maintained. कि किसने कितने शॉट मारे, किसको मारे. So it is the paintball inspired game, पर वो लेजर से खेला जाता है, उसमें कोई फिजिकल हार्म नहीं होता. So we built that game ourselves. We built the jacket, sensors, we made the guns, we manufactured mold वगैरह सब करवा के हमने लेजर टैग गेम रेडी किया. हम कॉलेज फेस्टिवल्स करते थे और उसमें किसी ने देखा कि yeah, this is a great game and probably we can put this up in a mall. So we set this laser tag game in a mall in Ahmedabad, and then we entered into gaming industry. And from then on, we started manufacturing arcade games, virtual reality simulators. Then we went into experiential marketing. In case of experiential marketing, what happens is there's a product launch. Maybe Lakme is launching their new lipstick. They come to us, they say कि कोई एक ऐसा गेम बना दो कि लोग खेलेंगे और स्कोर सफिशिएंट स्कोर हुआ तो उसके बाद एक लिपस्टिक अपने आप वेंड हो जाएगी. So we make games, the vending machine, everything we manufacture in-house. So then Indroid Labs entered into experiential marketing and gaming segment as well.
Absolutely. And because nowadays gaming sector is like booming in India. So how do you think that how can like science can connect with whole gaming sector? Like do you see any future connection with them because your company is into manufacturing gaming parts, and then you are also
you'll see the connection probably in next month, because I am planning to launch my first consumer Android game where it is built upon science and gaming. So it is a hyper casual game, but it teaches you science concepts. So for now, I won't talk much about it. Once it releases, you get to know. But then I am focusing on how we can connect hyper casual gaming. Like you do not have to think much about it. You keep playing, but then it teaches you something in science. So I'm building a game around it.
Superb. So we hope that that comes out to be a great success. And talking about like my personal opinion on how gaming can be related to science is like when a person is truly intrigued in a game, like there's PUBG, there's COD, there's new games which are coming, and majorly how we learn is like we try and experiment with what things which are there to us, and we try to unlock different levels. So majorly how gaming and science can be learned is like when we like एक गेम में एक लेवल में हम एक कॉन्सेप्ट समझाते हैं. Like first level is like how we teach Newtonian mechanics. So it's like you have to build something on basis of Newtonian concept, and then you have to reach to a final point. You'll get that point, reach to next level, new concept, and then how can you learn? That's how I try to connect gaming and science with this. So how do you think that is this concept in the right direction, or can this be taken into mainstream approach?
Absolutely. I am building something around this itself, not Newtonian mechanics, but it is something like, see, one thing I want to focus on is that people lose interest when you go into something very esoteric. So if I tell them कि कुछ तो force के components है और उसकी वजह से balance हो रहा है, it is in equilibrium, it's like people lose interest. So what I want to do is build something. There's a challenge, fulfill it. Once you fulfill it, it tells you about how it got fulfilled. This is how it was happening. So for someone who just wants to play the game, he can keep playing the game without learning things. For somebody who is actually interested in knowing how it is happening, you can click on each component and understand, अच्छा इस वजह से ये ऐसा हुआ, इस वजह से ये ऐसा हुआ. But it is very easy to understand. Like you look at it and you will feel कि हाँ ये ऐसा किया तो balanced रहेगा. But why it is balanced? It is because of forces and torques getting balanced. Or if you want to learn, you can click on the component and learn about it. So there has to be two parts. One which is fun, the other is well learned. Both of them have to be gelled.
True. So it's like you are not focusing on the mathematical aspects on everything, but then you also allow students to explore that part if they are interested in.
Right. So it's not mandatory that you understand what's happening. You have fun, but if you want to learn, you can learn.
That's very interesting, because even in the content field, which from what I have learned from as a content consumer before, is that people tend to go towards things which are simpler to understand,
Yep.
or they are simpler to grab. And then if they get fun attached with it, they tend to move with it more. Like when I say people that कि uh, तुम hard work करो, it is easy for them to understand कि हाँ hard work करना है. Now if I go in detail कि तुम्हें ऐसे hard work करना है, यहाँ पर smart करना है, यहाँ पर ये करना है, if I go in the complexity of it just to make them understand that this is what exactly your roadmap is, then they lose interest in it. That's what I personally have learned from even explaining things and from from being a content consumer as well. So I think that is a very brilliant approach to it. That you allow a window for a person, if they want to explore it, they can explore, or if they just want to experience the simplicity of it, then they can go with that as well. So my next part of this question is like, for a nation to build, like from what I have learned from my mentor, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai has said once, is that India was the golden bird in medieval times because India was rich in research and development in terms of understanding and applying sciences. And right now, when we see India and in this pandemic, we understand that at least in terms of biological science, we are lacking behind to handle such pandemics even in future. So taking whole science in this context, what do you think that what India needs to do right now in terms of being a superpower with help of research and development?
Probably what India needs is more research and development facilities. Like I know from my colleagues and from my batchmates who went out in foreign countries, learn things there. They have more research oriented facilities. They have labs, and they are so well equipped. You get a concept. They have excellent research funding, and you can bring your concept to reality. Now that's something that is missing in India. Now, how do we bridge that gap is still a problem because in India, to have that kind of funding is difficult because India has so many places where our funding has to be spent. Now this can be bridged if probably we have funding coming in from corporates, other avenues who fund these institutes for researchers. Because once we have some excellent research and something great emerges out of it, probably the intellectual property rights can be borne by the corporate itself. But we will have some research, we will have something of our own that we innovated. Right now, we rely more on technological innovations of Western countries. That is something has to be changed. We have to emerge as a superpower. We will make more innovations. That's one thing that we have to work on. That can only be done if we have great research facilities. We have to focus on our youth and focus on the way we are teaching students. Like we talked in our podcast itself, and probably change the examination pattern, change the mindset of the parents itself, and change how we teach the students. All of this has to come together.
200%. And talking about the intellectual property rights, because I have seen few of my friends who have great ideas, and they are scared in terms of sharing it because they think that even before I practically go on and research on it, this idea might get stolen from me because people are not even aware of intellectual property rights as well, and they get scared of even approaching or accepting the approach of a corporate because they think that my idea, my name will go for corporate. So as a science geek, how can one understand this intellectual property right if you can explain it in a layman terms, and up to what percentage of risk can a student take?
See, it is mostly like if you have your own original idea. Mostly what I have seen is if you have your own original idea, most of the times people don't even believe it. So when you share it, probably in your mind, this is $1 billion idea. But when you share it with people, people are very much skeptical about it. You know, this is not going to work. Either this thing will never come into realization, or something will fail you when you want to get money. The people are always skeptical. So while sharing the original idea, what I have learned from my experience, when you go to someone and share it, there are very little chances that he'll steal it from because he does not believe in it. The way you believe in it, nobody else does. People will start believing it only when you have a working prototype. If you
Mm-hmm.
work on it, if you have a prototype, you can absolutely take it to your investor, whatever funding group, and get it funded, go into mass manufacturing. But then, obviously, there are so many technicalities that come before it. Like, if it is something that has to be patented, you need to get a patent. Now, getting a patent in India is a costly affair, takes time. Not everybody gets into it. But it is a general rule of thumb that if you approach an investor who's a standard investor, who's a renowned investor, they do not steal your ideas, because the kind of passion that you put into your idea, nobody else can. If they borrow your
Mm-hmm.
idea, they raise a team and they make people work on it, they will never have the passion that you have. Like why WhatsApp was bought for $19 billion. See, if you put $19 billion, obviously you can make an app. Like it was not difficult for Facebook to create an app like WhatsApp. Why do you spend $19 billion? One is for traction, that's one thing. The other is the passionate team that has put in the efforts. That is
Mm-hmm.
how any startup raises funding, because your team itself is so passionate about it. The investor will never get someone who's so passionate. And in initial stages, obviously, there's a risk. If he really feels that this idea will work, he might steal it. You run the risk. But if you really want to grow, you have to run the risk. That's the point. But from my experience, and not just my experience, even if you look at scientists, what you will say is initially nobody believed him. Even if it was a revolutionary concept, people were always skeptical, and that has gone on for generations and still continues.
True, true, 100%. So, how was this whole podcast? And if do you have any questions for me?
The podcast was excellent. See, initially what I felt was when I asked you that how long does a podcast last, and you said 40 minutes, I too personally was skeptical about it. 40 minutes is a very long talk, and I don't think 40 minutes is doable. But as I can see, the time flies. It's already 40 minutes. We have been talking, and I didn't even know. Like for a moment, even I didn't feel ki kitna time ho gaya. I didn't even look at the watch. So it was excellent talking to you.
Thank you
बहुत
so
ही
much, sir.
smooth podcast.
Thank you so much. So do you have any questions for me?
Basically, the question is I never asked you to introduce yourself. So, what are your passions? What do you do?
So personally, I am my main passion is like I am intrigued in quantum physics, and I want to understand that how quantum physics relates with the crux of every religion. Like there are multiple religion, but they boil down to something which is very subtle. Like somewhere it's soul, somewhere it's energy, somewhere it's just one God, and that whole godly concepts I want to connect it with quantum physics because they both are as certain as uncertain in their own field. So that's what my personal idea is, and that's why I've gone through the academic path for taking BSc honors physics and going on with it. And this podcast I have begun is because I want people to get intrigued and people to lap on the opportunities which are there, but they are not seeing it. Like the opportunity which I had during this lockdown to start this podcast, and today I am completing almost 1 year in upcoming month, and I'm completing 1 year of my whole podcast. I began it in 2020. So
Oh,
so I
that's
think that
excellent.
thank you so much, sir. So the kind of growth which I personally have seen in myself is what I want to deliver to people, because I have seen people, like come marks aate hai even though their parents are not forcing them to get 90%, but वो खुद 85 लाके they see that I am depressed, I am this क्योंकि उनके दोस्त उनसे ज्यादा ला गए. So that whole mental disturbance which has been created, I want to eradicate that mental disturbance by helping them to see different opportunities. Let it be in terms of career, in terms of self-help, in terms of mental health, in terms of anything which I can provide to them.
That's a very noble task.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So do you have any personal advice for me, like from whatever we have talked about?
I The only personal advice is that obviously follow your passion, which you are already doing. Because what my personal experience is that once you follow your passion, you obviously succeed. So that's the only formula for success that I know. and you are already doing it. So probably you are on the right path.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. This was actually my first properly science-oriented podcast, and let's hope that we'll be doing much more podcasts related to science, related to quantum physics, astrophysics, and whatever subjects
For sure.
which intrigues us in common. So thank you so much for coming on this show, and hope you great success for Android Labs and for the new application which you're making.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jay, for having me. Wish you best
Thank
of
you
luck.
so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Good night.